Hey everybody, it's Dean Jackson. Welcome to the More Cheese Less Whiskers podcast. And I'm very excited. We're here with Kelsey Reidl today from Canada, from just outside of Toronto, where I grew up. I just found that out about Kelsey. So I'm excited to learn all about your business and to learn everything you do and maybe hatch some nice evil schemes with you today. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I've been a long-time listener of your content in general, so this is very exciting, and I can't wait for the conversation we're going to have.
So where did we first meet? Did we meet through Giovanni? And okay, through Archangel.
So I've been part of Gio's community and went to his events 4 to 5 years ago.
Okay.
And he always spoke about you as the marketing guru and really started following your work ever since. And you've taught me so much from afar.
I love that.
Thank you.
I love it. Well, tell me all about your business. Tell me what you do, what's working, and if you had a plan or a thought of what you really wanted to work on in our time together so we can focus our attention there.
Sure. To give you a bit of a backstory, I guess, I started my career in marketing in the corporate world. So I worked for a lot of health food brands, sold protein powders, supplements, and I worked as a marketing manager, marketing specialist, mostly doing experiential marketing strategy. So how could we actually get product into people's hands and show up at events or do pop-up shops at grocery stores and actually hand over a physical sample? So I was both on the ground doing these activations, and then as I advanced in my career, I was the one that was actually planning them from behind the scenes. And after about 8 years in more general marketing roles and becoming a manager, I realized that I had all these ideas that I wanted to implement, but going through the hierarchy of asking people for permission and having a lot of my creative ideas shot down, I thought, you know what, let me try my hand at freelance work.
Right.
So I employed myself as a full-time freelance person, and I worked with brands who were more in the startup phase. And so I had 4 clients, spent about 3 years, felt kind of like I was working around the clock. Like clients were asking me for things with crazy deadlines, and I loved it, but I was working a lot. And I thought, you know what, I'm sharing the same concepts with all 4 clients. Why don't I build this into a curriculum and an online course and have that for sale? So I built that and I gave it a name. I called it the Visionary Method, and it really focuses on building your online and your offline marketing strategy, and kind of built that into an evergreen system that people could just buy anytime. But I actually started to miss working with clients. So today, where I am is that I offer one-on-one marketing coaching for small to medium-sized businesses. I work with them for 4 months, and I have a lot of the systems developed, but I also meet with them every single week to help them implement it and really figure out, is this something that they should hold on to, or potentially do they want to outsource it and hire a teammate for it? So today I kind of call myself a hybrid between a marketing coach and a marketing consultant. I work with anywhere between 10 and 15 businesses at a time, but I'm starting to feel that, point where I'm maxed out. I don't have a lot of things that people can buy from me just on the back end. And I still feel like, in a way, I've created full-time work for myself. I've employed myself full-time.
Right.
And I want to branch beyond. I want to do other things. I want to create courses, do more speaking, reach a bigger audience. I just feel like I've kind of hit my box with consulting, and I'm ready to explore what's next and how to reach a bigger audience and have products for them.
So it sounds like you've really worked with a variety of different people, right? That's a big thing of not having, you've got a process, I'm sure, your visionary method, your kind of way that you take people through it, but it sounds like it's custom work basically every time you're trying to figure out the thing. That's a lot like, count that like all the breakthrough DNA, like the 8 profit activators that we talk about. That I can overlay those on any business, and that's kind of what we're doing here. So if I look at it and say, if we divide your before unit and your during unit and your after unit, that in the before unit, it's really about finding the right fit people for you. And I wonder what your capabilities are. If there's a particular, you mentioned that you sort of saw you were doing the same kind of 4 things with people, but I wonder if there's been kind of the same type of client that you've been working with. Have you noticed that, work with a particular thing that you could, implement the same playbook for?
Yeah, I have noticed trends, and I've been really, I guess, resistant to like niche down and actually use this language. But most people who come to me are service providers in the health and wellness space. That's something that, I'm part of a lot of these communities, and I myself am a certified nutritionist. So kind of have my hand in that still. And so a lot of them, they are naturopaths, nutritionists, health coaches, personal trainers, birth doulas, and they're so good at their skill set of doing the thing, but they don't understand business or have any marketing acumen. And that's where I can kind of jump in, because it marries like what I love to talk about, which is wellness, but also with marketing, which is where my skill set lies. So I definitely see trends, but I don't make that clear anywhere.
So I look at it, what you just described, all of those practitioners, and I think anybody that you could describe as a practitioner, what the common thread among most of them, 90% of them, is that they just want to be practitioners. They just want to be a birth doula. They just want to be a physio, or they just want to be a personal trainer. They don't want to, as you said, be marketers or be business people. They just want to have a constant flow of people to work with in their during unit. Now, the good news is that among those businesses that you listed, most of them are hands-on or local consumption of that business. Somebody's going to be there's no virtual birth doula. It's all happening right there on the mainland, right? So the good news about this is that may be, and if we use that as an example, it may be that you could create the perfect system for a birth doula to create a before unit that delivers people who want to work with them as clients, and find the birth doula practitioners in all of the geographic markets, right? It's a global thing, or even if you just say North America, how many birth doulas are there? Every marketplace there's people in there. So it's about, for them, their struggle is finding people who know what that is and want to have that. But it seems like completely on trend for what people are moving towards, having more natural births, having that kind of thing. You could figure out the way to almost create the franchise prototype for a birth doula before unit. When I say before unit, for anybody who's unclear, I'm talking about the unit of your business that finds people who want to do what it is you do and delivers them to the during unit. Like, I know any of the birth doulas that you work with, you just sent somebody to them, they'd be 100% capable to do the job. And that's what they want. That's what they specialize in, right? They love the process of serving people, of having a great experience, having all their systems and processes in place so that everything goes smoothly and everybody has an amazing experience. That's all perfect. And then having the before unit as a separate thing, one of the great things is to think about it as a supplier to during unit. And one of the things that often happens with practitioners like this is that they don't typically price themselves in a way that allows for any cost of acquisition, that they basically are assuming that they're not having any cost to get people. So they base it on what their time and their expenses are in delivering it with whatever margin they want to make. But that's dependent then on people just coming to them, right? They're not used to spending money in a way to identify those people. Is there an established protocol or network if somebody refers them? Is there a referral fee, or is there some? I'm just trying to get to a point of how much, if you could say to a doula, how many births could they handle at any given time? How many active clients would they have? Like, what would be the perfect success model for a birth doula?
Yeah, they can only handle, say, 12 and 24 clients per year. So it's really not that much that goes into making up their annual salary that they pay themselves from the business.
Yes. Yeah. So when you look at that, do you say the ones that you work with is there struggle finding the 12 to 24 people, and the difference in 12 and 24 is pretty substantial, I'm sure, in their income. So if they could
I think
do it.
For all the clients that I work with, the practitioners in the health space, the big struggle is finding clients. Like, that's what it all boils down to. If they could wave a magic wand and just find more clients, like, it's literally like 3 words, that's what they're paying me for.
Yes.
And I think one of the things too is that they do have some money mindset issues. They don't necessarily want to spend on paid ads yet.
Right.
They want to do it low cost, which is also something I teach them. Like, I say low risk marketing efforts is what we're going to focus on. Usually that's very low cost strategies as well.
So when you look at it, do they have would there be a number, or have you had a conversation with them to say, if I could bring you 24, if we could just wave a magic wand like you talked about, and you've got 20, I could deliver you 24 people, how much would you pay for that being done, just having that handled? And so you wonder, like, how establishing what their allowable cost of acquisition is for a new client. What would you say? What would they, what are the economics of a doula business? How much do they charge? How much would you think that they would pay if you proposed that to them?
Yeah. So most of my clients are charging between $3,000 and $5,000 Canadian dollars services. And I would say, I don't actually ask them that question, like, how much would you pay to acquire a new customer? But my best guess is if I were to ask them, they would say a number in the single or double digits. So they'd be willing to spend something like $50 or $75. But that's only because they haven't seen a track record. They've just been dumping money into random Instagram boosting. They're just trying things without strategy. So they're like, I spent $10 on this post and I got no leads from it. Like, but that was just like a random boost button, and you did nothing to follow up with the people who looked at it. You did nothing to track the analytics on the back end, or to target a certain audience, or, you know, the website you sent them to was broken. So what did you expect, right? So I think, like, there's so much that they're unaware of when it comes to spending money, and they don't even have everything optimized yet necessarily to drive more traffic to them. So it's like, we almost have to go back a step and work on their business foundation. And then when they see the income coming in, my guess is that they would be willing to spend triple digits to acquire a customer if they knew, you know, spend $200, get a $3,000 client.
And I think that's where you kind of get for them, is thinking that way to establish what it would look like. And so, you know, going around it in different ways, that if a particular doctor or a particular clinic offered to just buy out all of we want you to do this just for us. If they don't have any of the risk or any of the expense, or not spending any of the time doing those things, that they'd probably be happy. You know, I wonder what percentage of capacity are most of them at? Like, they're, you know, is it they have excess capacity? And I think that's
they definitely do.
And that's where I think you have that conversation with them, is thinking about what would it be worth for them to have the, consistency of having that handled. And if the great news is that if you can figure it out for them, you've got something that's syndicatable, like that's so much of what I've done has been specifically in the real estate when was my primary background, right? So I figured out I was in Halton Hills. Where are you, by the way? You said outside of Toronto.
I'm in Paris, Ontario.
Okay. So a little further out, but
yeah.
So I was in the GTA, the Greater Toronto area there for people, and I figured out for my business as a real estate agent how to find people who want to buy homes in Halton Hills. Like, people would work in the city and they would live in suburbs often, and Halton Hills was right on the edge of the suburbs with the GO train daily going right downtown. So I put together a guide to Halton Hills real estate prices. This is, pre-internet. Nobody had access to know what you get for your money in Halton Hills. So I would advertise in the Toronto real estate sections about Halton Hills, and people would ask for the guide, and I would send them all the information. But what I set that up as was a prototype for how to find people who want to buy homes in Halton Hills, and then started licensing that system I did a guide called Toronto and Beyond, 40 great places to live within an hour of the city. And I covered everything from Hamilton to, out in the east and to Barrie. There's 40 communities, Mississauga, Brampton, all of those. Yep. And I licensed that system to 40 different agents. So I set them up and showed them how to do that same thing. So think about the opportunity there of, once you've cracked the code on how to find people who are, first of all, pregnant, and second of all, who want to have a natural birth and work with doula, that's all the job. And the good news is you can do that remotely and at scale, right? Like, you could, when you think about it, becoming the education wing kind of thing of the mothers there, that's a pretty cool thing, right? Where you maybe have the opportunity to think about using your skills now, because you are in a place where you are a practitioner of marketing advice, right? You are working with people one-on-one. You're like the marketing doula, right, for them, where you work with them
that.
for 4 months to get them all established and stuff. But if you were to think about using your skills to set up a business that delivers the result to the doulas, and I'm using doulas as a great placeholder for chiropractors or physios or personal trainers, whatever it is, same model that I'm talking about, but it's just interesting and it helps us focus when I just talk about it as doulas, because that's an unusual thing, right? Or the ordinary. So if we look at that and say, okay, could we bring, it's a very clear target audience too. You're either pregnant or you're not, right? And that's
true.
That's a thing. I look at it that what would be an advantage is if you could have access to pregnant people as soon as they become pregnant, or, as soon as they start planning that stuff. If we take the process is 9 months, it's so predictable too. It's not like, I'm going to tell you a story about a company I worked with in Toronto that was a party planner, and they, it was a family business, been in business for a long time, since the 60s. And I asked them, what's the best thing? What's the highest level client that you could get? If it would be the jackpot for you. And they said an outdoor wedding is the best thing that they get, because they get the tents and the tables and generators and porta potty, the whole thing, lighting, all of it. And so we said, okay, so if we could find outdoor wedding clients, that would be a big win. Now, picking a party rental company is pretty low on the list of exciting things that a bride looks forward to when she gets engaged, right? Like that's way down the list and is a commoditized type of thing. So how could we get up front? How could we get up front of the line with this? And I suggested that we put together a directory of 101 great places to have an outdoor wedding in Toronto. And because they knew all the venues, they knew every, it'd been in for so long, and many places that you wouldn't even think that you could have an outdoor wedding. So we put together that directory and instead of advertising the party rental company, we were advertising the directory, which now built us a list of people who are going to have a wedding and want to have an outdoor wedding, right? So if we translate that and take that over to the pregnancy situation, that the moment that somebody becomes pregnant is probably where, and the good news is that a pregnancy is much more predictable than a wedding. That could be, it could be 90 days, 6 months, 18 months, 2 years before somebody, between when they get engaged and when they have the wedding. But when somebody gets pregnant, it's 9 months, and that's
pretty clear
to the day. We know this is when it's going to happen. So my question is, when do people get involved with a doula? When are they brought into the equation?
Like right after you pee on a stick and you get a positive result is usually when you want to book out your midwife or your doula.
Yeah.
So that's like the catalytic would prompt you to think, okay, where am I going from here? What do I want my birth to look like? And you make a lot of quick decisions. You just had this big epiphany of like, life is going to change and I need support because I've never been here before.
Right. That's why these books like What to Expect When You're Expecting are such perennial bestsellers, because oh no, now what am I in for now? Like they give you this idea of what's going to happen. So I look at it that if you were able to identify people who were pregnant and do it in a way that often, this is where an opportunity for you as a marketing practitioner, that you've got an opportunity to not only to create an environment that serves pregnant women. That's the core of this, right? When you look at it, that there's other practitioners that probably, I mean, you're not going to believe this, but on this podcast, I've actually had a lactation consultant who's on, which is, so you think we had similar conversations, that it's a very similar thing. So you think about that world of somebody who gets pregnant to the time that they have the baby, what that, all the different things that are involved in that area, that there's an opportunity for somebody to organize this group who's going to serve these people, and in a lot of ways, this is where you can get the opportunity to, generate leads at a profit for the doulas. Like what we ended up doing with the party rental situation is enhancing the directory so that some venues would pay to have a featured listing in the directory, and then we're able to sell advertising to music bookers, florists, and caterers, all of the things that are also involved in that category. And that's
so brilliant. Generating leads at a profit. I've never heard of that before. But if you can do that for clients, it's like a no-brainer for them to hire you, right? It's like, I can generate you leads and make you some money in the process, or some extra income.
Where I was speaking is in the opportunity for you to do it too. That if you think about positioning yourself as the advocate for all the pregnant mothers, that journey, that who else would be interested in that, and what happens sort of immediately after that, what's going to happen in the 9 months after. If you take the category of birth and then the first year, or the first 9 months or 6 months or whatever, getting somebody established as a new mother, that little category is an amazing thing. And then if you even bookend that on the getting pregnant side, that whole journey is serving that market rather than thinking about, I'm speaking to you as a marketer now, as the opportunity to position yourself to take that marketplace and create a marketplace for all of these practitioners that serve that same person. The way I discovered that, I ran a painting company in college with a friend, and we created another company called Name Droppers. And what we did was we hired college kids to go out in the evenings and on the weekends and do neighborhood surveys in the spring to find people who were doing any home improvement projects over the summer. We wanted the painting leads, but we figured if we're going to send somebody out to talk to homeowners, who else would be interested in knowing other things? So we had a list on the form, a checklist for roofing, siding, windows, garage doors, driveway, shaping, pool, deck, fence, all of the things that were homeowner related things. And we would just ask if they were planning on getting any home improvement projects done over the summer, and we could get them quotes and information. And we had a relationship with one business in each of those categories to refer those leads to. So some cases they would just buy the leads. Some would pay us a referral fee. We had a pool company that would pay us 10% of the job. And in some cases, we would make more on the pool referral than we would have made if we painted their eaves and soffits, in profit. So I think about that as an opportunity for you, perhaps, picking a category like that and creating the opportunity that your doula clients can tap into, but also your, any of the other things that, who else is looking to serve pregnant mothers, so you create almost like organizing a community around mothers. And that's a way for you to kind of elevate the skills that you have and do it on a way that you're providing a business that can do that, for your own stuff.
I guess where I've always kind of struggled though is that I serve more than just pregnant people. So when people come to my website, I don't want to maybe this is my own block. I don't want to super limit myself. So I'm trying to help a wide range of service providers. So I don't want to say I'm just here for birth doulas or lactation consultants or midwives. So right now, I'm so generally branded as a marketing coach. I'm the person who can deal with your SEO, your social media, your email, your website. So I'm kind of how do and I think I need to come up with clear wording, because right now I get people who have e-commerce businesses coming to me. That's a very different niche, and I don't want to deal with that type of client anymore, because it's just where I focus my energies.
Right.
So it's what's the before unit of people who are service providers in the well-being space who want to grow their business, search engine optimization, social media, all that. Yeah. And I've kind of looked at your profit activating score and thought, well, maybe I need to assess where they're at in their marketing and see is this the type of client that I can help and kind of capture them that way.
You're absolutely right. Hey, let me ask Juan, is it going to blow anything up if I share my screen?
It will replace her.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not going to blow it up for you.
No.
Okay, let's do that. I'm just going to show you something, and she'll be able to see my screen.
She should.
Okay, let's see.
Let's try it.
Let's try it, because you just said you set it up exactly for what I want to talk about.
Okay, wonderful.
Here. So there we go. Do you see that?
I see
Okay.
WeShootBottles.com.
All right. So let's talk about this, because what
Okay.
you just described is I help people doing all of these things, right? You don't want to
Oh my
limit
God.
yourself to this. So imagine
Yeah.
you're a commercial photographer.
Okay.
Okay. And you are saying to me, if I just replace the words that you just said, I help people with SEO with all of these suite of things, all kinds of
Yep.
businesses, you'd be like a commercial photographer saying, but I shoot packages, I shoot catalogs, I shoot models, I shoot,
Yep.
properties, I shoot everything. I do it all as a commercial photographer.
Yeah.
But if you have a package, if you have a product that's packaged in a bottle, would you not be attracted to a company that only shoots bottles and has a website that shows you're in the right hands? Look at all these beautifully photographed bottles.
Oh my God. I love this so much.
Right. And so you look at it, that's kind of setting that commercial photographer apart.
Yeah.
Right. And guess what? They've got a sister website called WeShootCans.com.
Oh, no way.
So you look at, but they're just a commercial photographer. They also do all the other laundry list things. Another example is Tyler Perry, who has a studio outside of Atlanta, and he built a 10,000 square foot mansion on the property there. And it's got 4 different facades. So on each side, each wall of the thing, when you look at it when you shoot it from one side, it's a modern home. When you shoot it from the other angle, it's a Mediterranean. When you shoot it from the other, it's like a Cape Cod. And when you shoot it from the other, it's the front of the White House. So you're all the same the same structure, all the same processes and the same things that you do, but I'm talking about just setting up different facades to get into it.
Yeah.
I
like that, because it is the same system, but it would be like, in this case, having a website that's like findpersonaltrainingclients.com or findnutritionclients.com. So it's just like,
you get it,
grabbing the little bits out of it and saying, here's how we're just going to do a couple minor tweaks and market it specifically to the practitioner that's struggling. They know this is for you, not I'm a general marketing consultant for all service providers.
Do you know what the difference?
Makes me feel like I'm too generic.
It's the difference between, and I talk about, profit activator number 1 is select a single target market. What you're talking about and what most people do is they're trying to cast as wide a net so that they get selected, right? And I'm saying that we're doing the selecting. Going We Shoot Bottles is selecting everybody who's got a bottle and going out and finding them, right? It's not just about, well, I don't want to tell people that we shoot bottles in case somebody with a box wants me to work with them, right? It feels limiting when you focus like that. But I was talking about, you've heard of Procter & Gamble. There's a company that follows this to the T. The huge company, but they've got 23 individual billion-dollar brands. Tide is only focused on people who want to get their clothes as white as possible. And they've got whole teams of people that just dream the day away on how to make clothes whiter, right? And they're only trying to find people they treat them as independents, because the Tide people, that's different than Swiffer. The people who do Swiffers have different things, but the overriding thing is they produce household goods, packaged goods. And that's where, I think about the pregnancy thing as the example there. Did you know Procter & Gamble is actually who invented the soap opera? And the reason they did, think about it for a second, when you go away from just your product and go to the market that you're serving, their market was housewives, who are in the 50s. They were the ones that's the primary role, right? The housewife, the real thing. And
Yeah.
you look at their day, how could we get the attention of housewives? And so they went through, what is the life of a housewife? Well, she gets up in the morning, she gets the kids and her husband off and ready for work. She then does the laundry, does the dishes, gets the house tidied up, and then she runs some errands, and then it's time for lunch. And she's ready to have a break. She's got a little bit of a window between finishing up her stuff, having lunch, and then pretty soon the kids will be home. So that little window is her time. So what would she enjoy? What would be good is for her to just sit back, to get caught up in this fantasy world of, intrigue and drama and all this big city stuff kind of thing. And they, so they created the soap opera to gather the audience so that they know that they're sitting there at the right time. And then they created the cliffhanger so that you're like at the most dramatic moment, they break for the commercial while you're leaning forward, pupils dilated in an elevated emotional state. And then here's the commercial for Tide or for Mr. Clean or for any of the household products that they did. So they created the environment to introduce their products to the market. And I think that this category, we've focused on the doula and the pregnancy thing, but just as easily be talking about any of the other practitioners. If you trace it back to the market of it, what is the opportunity there? That's where, I think that's the most kind of satisfying thing for you as a next path, is getting out of particularly being the practitioner, but being a supplier of, of clients for, or serving, creating media even that serve that market.
Yeah. And I've always wondered too, because we're thinking a lot about niching by industry. Like maybe I market to personal trainers or nutritionists, chiropractors. But what would be your thoughts? Because there's obviously so many different types of marketing. Digital marketing, there's growth hacking marketing, SEO, there's organic, referral, word of mouth. What would be your opinion on niching down based on a type of marketing that one of my clients wants to do or that they're already doing that they're not doing very well? So I particularly am good at teaching them how to find clients on social media or via SEO. So could I niche, instead of niching by practitioner, could it be like your social media isn't going well, service provider, and you want more leads from Google? You're not on this content creation hamster wheel. So that's not being so specific, but I'm seeing these common problems that all my clients come to me with, and they want a simple solution for, what do I need to put on my website to drive more traffic through Google? How often do I need to post content, and what do I post to actually turn my followers into clients? Because right now they're just posting every day and nothing's happening. And I'm like, okay, I see and that's what I can help them with. So I don't know if that is a niche.
Well, it's not really a niche. It's a method, right? And they come and go. Social media is brand new and it's evolved from the beginning. It's completely different now. TikTok is, taking over from a lot of the other things.
Yeah.
And so you look at now, it's been Google for search engine stuff, but you already see what's happening with Chat GPT, that it's probably search is fundamentally going to change when, even with Bing getting the Chat GPT built right into it, search is going to change. Search engine optimization is maybe not going to be a thing as much as the other. Where you've got a longevity mind of being in business for a long time. Part of the thing to look at is what's not going to change. One of my favorite quotes, somebody asked Jeff Bezos, what's going to change, like what's coming in the future kind of thing. And he said, people always ask me that and I don't know, but what I do know is what's not going to change. And what's not going to change in the future is that people are going to want as wide a selection of products as possible. They're going to want them at the lowest price, and they're going to want to get them as fast as they can. So every technology that we adopt is only in service of those three primary things. Is this going to help us expand the number of products that we can offer? Is this going to expand our ability to deliver them at low prices and quickly? So I look at, if you look at the overriding things of a marketer or in the marketing world, the things that aren't going to change is that people want to generate leads. They want to convert those leads into clients. They want to multiply those clients while they're working with them into other clients. And they want to orchestrate referrals. Those are the only four puzzles that we're trying to solve, right? And the methods to do that are constantly changing. But where you really want to focus is on not getting married to the method, but getting married to the outcome, the bankable result. Because the thing that people really want is lead. And sometimes that allows you to be agnostic to the tool, like where you kind of paint yourself into a corner if it's social media, and then all of a sudden things start shifting. That's not going to be here 20 years from now, maybe. We're shifting. It's like, what's funny, at Geo's thing, Gary Vaynerchuk and I have known Gary for a long time, but we had a conversation about this stuff when he came up to Toronto to speak at Geo's event. But, he's for years, before TikTok was ever a thing, was trying to beg people to go get on TikTok, or Musical.ly, even before it was TikTok. He was telling them, this is where it's going. This is where it's going. And, now all of a sudden, it's all about the TikTok, right? And so, but that's I love his idea of he's day trading attention. He's not married to any particular mechanism for it. He just knows where is the attention, and then what's the best thing we can do right now to harness that attention for, I would add to it, the purpose of getting leads. How are we going to turn invisible prospects into visible prospects? How are we going to convert those prospects into appointments or into opportunities for us to tell them what that is? How could we turn those appointments into contracts to help somebody, for them to sign on with us to do it? And how can we, when we're doing something, turn that opportunity into more business? And then how can we nurture lifetime relationships with them so that they do more business with us and refer, right? So those primary things, that's where the 8 profit activators came from, is that they're bedrock things. If you backdate those 30 years ago, when I was doing the guide to Halton Hills, that was, I was using the best available technology at the time, which was magazine, home real estate magazine advertising, newspaper advertising. That was the way to reach people, right? So when I was doing that, now, it evolved. And in the late 90s, the internet started coming on, and we switched to being able to use the internet, and then use the pay-per-click search engines, and then use YouTube and Facebook. And it's just been constantly stacking all the opportunities that you have, So I think that's, if you kind of look at it, rather than the mechanism, think about the outcome and think about what could we do to help people with this particular need. Generating leads, we can do that. Converting those leads or getting referrals. That's where the differentiation can happen, because you're kind of tool agnostic, right?
Yeah, I like that concept of day trading attention too, because I do feel like in this TikTok era, people's attention spans are obviously quite short and very limited these days. So like what you've been saying for the past half hour, if you don't speak to somebody directly and like really zero in on, this is the industry that I serve, and like use those defining words to call in the right people, it just seems too generic. And I find that people will just kind of swipe on by and find somebody who is teaching specifically to their niche, to their current problem, who's using the right language to show that, like, I get you, I've been there, or I've worked with many other birth doulas or many other nutritionists. So I've created the formula, the success kind of strategy for your industry.
So one of the big things too is when you've got that, you've got your skill set, you've got your capabilities that you've got, and you've got excess capacity as well, that you've got time or availability to do stuff. If you have the ability to deliver results, in a lot of ways, that's the best place that you could come from, that you're able to bypass the purchasing department. And I say that I make a distinction of what most people are doing is they're trying to go to the purchasing department of a company and pitch their wares or pitch their products or services and say, give me a purchase order and then I'll deliver this in the future. So everybody's competing for those limited funds, tension from the one decision maker who's willing to or able to make that decision. And if you hone your skills, if you've got the ability to deliver a result for somebody, you know that's what they want. You can bypass the purchasing department. You go right to the receiving dock around the back. And when you approach a business or a company from the receiving dock, you're met with open arms. There's no resistance. Everybody, 100% of the people in any company are 100% authorized to bring money into the business. Yeah. But there's probably only one or two that can send money out. And everybody else thinks it's their job to protect the person who can take money out from people who are trying to take money from them, right? So if you think about these doulas as an example, if you go to the doulas and you try and convince them, hey, sign up with me and I'll show you how to do this and how to do this so that hopefully you'll get leads and stuff. It's very different than if you went and found a doula and said, could you accommodate 12 new clients this year? If you say that they're on average doing 12, but they could do 24, it's that excess capacity that they're excited about, right? And that's kind of a win, that if they're looking at it, that they're already getting these 12, but they've got room to do 24. That way they're much more relaxed because it's extra that they're thinking of, right? They're not thinking that this money is coming out of the fixed pool of money that I already have. You're talking about, and that's why people are far less attached to future money than they are to present money. And you look at it that, that's how all the furniture in North America gets sold, is that it's, we're in February now. It probably in another month, it's going to be no payments, no interest till 2026, right? Which seems like, or 2025, let's say 2 years. It's such a long way out. People think I'll be rich by then, but I want all my furniture now. So people will buy the furniture now, knowing that going to, pay for it later. That's, future Kelsey's going to be rich. She can pay for it then. That's not my problem,
So in addition to asking somebody a question, like say you're trying to land clients and you're like, could you accommodate 12 extra clients or could you accommodate doubling the amount of people that you're working with? Me as the person who's trying to land the client, as the marketing consultant, do I need to prove the results first before they pay, or give them an experience of here's how to slide you one client? Yeah, this as a tester?
Well, part of the thing is this is where your opportunity to think about not just getting a fee for, or getting a limited thing. This is for, because you would probably, definitely, create better results if they would just get out of the way and let you do it. Yeah. Right. And that's the thing, is if you just set that aside and you get out of the way and you can do the things that you've figured out how to find pregnant women, and you can direct them to and connect them to these, you could make more money than what they're paying you to find. That's how you would get the maximum amount of return from that outcome. You know, I
Mhm.
think you start thinking like a venture capitalist within your own business. You're seeking for,
Yeah.
you know, you look at Shark Tank, all those, they're way richer than
Mhm.
we are, and they're doing things, but they're not saying, hey, if you train with me in my 4-month program, I'm going to show you how to do this. They're saying, let me give you $50,000 and you give me 10% of everything that the
Yeah.
business does going forward. That's a different model, you know, but in order to
I
do
love
that,
that
you need to
model.
know. Yeah. So
Because I'm giving them all their marketing strategies, which as we take time for some of these to compound.
right.
So within 4 months, they're seeing results. But when I check in with them at the 8-month mark, at the 12-month mark, at the 2-year mark, just because I genuinely care about my clients, a lot of them are off to the races and doing really well. I like to think that part of that is because I equipped them with exactly what to
Of
do.
course.
And then when they're consistent with it,
Yeah.
they're able to just run forward. And that strategy stays with them, or the principles I taught them stay with them years and years to come. And it only gets better month over month. I'm kind of missing out on a big opportunity even
That's
to
exactly
like
right.
continue reaping the benefits
Yes.
of what I shared with them and co-created with them, right?
Yeah. Yes. You're absolutely right. That's what I'm trying
Mhm.
to say. And
Yeah.
you know, but we use that. You could do that same thing with personal trainers, with physios,
Yeah.
with the chiropractors, anybody who's doing that same thing. It's pretty exciting when you start to think about it that way, you know, where the next
Mhm.
evolution is, I think, for someone in your position with your skill set.
Yeah. And it is exciting too, because I've created all of these resources and the framework is there. I was just so hesitant to actually niche it down to certain industries or to certain types of people because I didn't want to exclude anyone, but I think I'm actually including a whole lot more people by picking maybe like the first 3 or 4
Yeah.
to kind of, just like tailor the messaging
Yeah.
to exactly
The ones
what
that you've
industry
had
I
the
want to
most,
work with.
the ones you've had the most experience with, and you know what to do. You already know what to do.
Exactly.
You've cracked the code, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then in terms of like a higher level lead generator, would I create like a specific little guidebook or checklist
You
or
could. The
video
question to
training?
ask yourself is, what would I do if I was a doula? You know, because you're not going to do that or have the skills or the training to do it, but you know enough about it that you start to think, what would I do? What could I do for this person if they would just get out of the way and let me do it? Right? That's really the thing. And I think that's going to be I think it's a big opportunity for you. And by the way, once you figure that out, then they're not so married that it has to be Kelsey. I need to talk to Kelsey. I can only work with Kelsey because they get out of the way. They don't feel the need to backseat drive. You're just delivering the people, and you can train, you know, your staff to execute your protocol. And now you've got a business and you're not just on this self-employed hamster wheel, right?
Yeah. That's cracking into a whole other area of my brain. So
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, I've had so much fun brainstorming and going through this whole process with you. How's your brain? What's landed, or what's eye opener, or action steps would be what I'd really love to hear.
Yeah, my brain is doing really good. And you know what? I'm at the 7-year mark of being in business for myself. And although I work with contractors, it's a conversation like this that makes me realize I want to be an entrepreneur, not just a self-employed person. And I want to think like an entrepreneur, which is how do we actually scale what you've built beyond just me as the face and me required to show up to every client call and to deliver every workbook. And I teach the same things day after day. And I really feel like, well, it's my magic, but it's not.
No.
Like now enough clients have gone through it and enough people have told me that the system works that I just want to like, you know, take my face out of it and be able to market it to different niches and get it into more hands. Because like I mentioned at the beginning, I can only work with 12 to 15 clients at a time. Or each working with me for 4 months, I want to serve more than just 12 clients. You know what I mean? Like they pay a lot of money, but at the same time, I know I can impact more people and get my message out there.
But
and
what
people
would it
have
be
told
worth
me
too if you could keep those same 12 clients for 12 years? That's really that you're going through the process with them for 4 months and then they're done and they're off on their own. If you were to set up this kind of a relationship with them where they're plugging their umbilical cord into you, looking for those 12 new additional clients every year, you're getting paid every year for that. That's a cool place to come from, right? Recurring income.
Yeah. And having playing the long game with my clients and wanting to, be with them for the long haul as they continue to become more and more successful.
I just did a podcast before this. I do a podcast for my realtors called Listing Agent Lifestyle. And the guest that I had, Michelle Brosmer, on there, we were talking, she's been a client since 2000, 22 years she's been with us. Yeah. Isn't that amazing? Because I'm focused on, and we were talking about all the evolution of things that have been focused on just the primary things of getting listings, finding buyers, getting referrals, multiplying your listings and converting leads. Those things are the primary, never going to change. But all the methods have changed tremendously, even in the 22 years that we've been working together, right? So I'm excited. That's incredible. For you.
Yeah, 20-year relationship is what I want. Yeah. So it's going to be the new goal on the vision board.
Right. I love it. Well, it was so nice to meet you and have this time together. It was really great. I'm excited to see maybe, in 6 or 12 months what could come of this and where you go with it.
I will definitely report back, and thank you for sharing your mind with me. Yeah. It's always so nice to not just be sitting in my office brainstorming by myself, but to actually think with another person, because I feel like the ideas I got today are just way more than I ever could if I was just doing this by myself. So thank you.
I think when you listen back to it too, your mind will go off in different things. I think I probably put you in a trance in some of it.
I know. I was just furiously writing notes, but I'm I actually need to process this.
Right. I love it. Well, it's been so great. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks so much, Dean.
Thanks, Kelsey.